Good evening. We are live. It is Thursday, just past 9 p.m., and the season is right around the corner. Say, has anybody been craving mediocre football? Well, then you're in the right place because we are Indianapolis Colts fans. Or, even better, has your football been interrupting your 7 hours of commercials? Then, good news for you because we'll be getting rid of football soon and it'll all just be commercials. Joining me is the usual faces, Nathan and Ed. Who wants to go first by saying, let's just kick it off. Who's going to be the Colts MVP this year?
We're going straight in.
Wow.
Ed, do you have one prepared, or do you want me to try and go?
No, I do. Yeah, I have got one prepared, and straight into it. So straight off the bat, then I'm going to sit here and tell you all why Daniel Jones is going to be the Colts MVP. No, I'm joking. Sorry, even I can't go to that extent. I've got two potential candidates if we're looking for Colts MVP. One I think is a very familiar name when it comes to Colts and MVP, and I'm going to say that's off the back of some quotes from our very good communicating coach Shane Steichen the other day, and the other is a bit more of a wild card pick. So the first one, the most obvious one I've gone for is Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is one of the genuine superstars we've got on our team, and I mean that like league-wide sort of genuine top 5 in his position player. Obviously won the award. I don't know how many times he's won it, several times. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but he's won it before, obviously. And Coach Steichen made a comment, I'm sure you both saw it earlier this week, saying that our offense is basically going to go through Jonathan Taylor, or it goes where he goes. So he's clearly going to be an integral part yet again of what we're looking to do. So I think if he performs to the level we know he's capable of, and Shane gets the production that he wants out of him, I think he's a clear candidate for MVP. My other one, a bit more of a wild card, but a player who we've all got mega high hopes for. It's not Justin Wally, unfortunately, because obviously he is out with a cruciate ligament for the year. But it was somebody we drafted. I'm sure you can probably guess who I'm talking about. But I do believe Tyler Warren can have the level of impact that we saw Brock Bowers have with the Raiders last year. And it would not surprise me. Again, I think Warren is going to be a hugely integral part of this offense. And I think we could be seeing some of those records that Brock Bowers set come under threat from Tyler Warren. And if that's the case, again, I think that puts him right up there as a potential candidate for MVP. So those would be my two names that I'm just going to throw out there. Maybe one a bit on the nose and maybe one a bit slightly left field. Not too left field, I don't think, but one maybe a bit more sort of out there.
Cool. I had Taylor written down as well, so I'll try and go a completely different way. This is a very, very bold prediction. They're going to be signing me on ESPN after this episode. I'm going to go with Laiatu Latu, simply because, last year we saw Latu kind of, get in there but not finishing the job. And I think what this defense needs is that kind of anchor on the edge, and that's exactly what he was drafted for. Luanarumo's system is going to absolutely give opposing quarterbacks, more time to pass, I would say. So it gives Latu that second or two more to finish the job. And Coach D-line has certainly had some upgrades this year. The defense has had some upgrades this year, arguably more than anywhere else. So why can't Latu do it? If he can get to 10, 10.5, 11 sacks and we make the playoffs, it's probably going to him,
It would be nice to make the playoffs. Do I draw the line in the sand now? Yeah, it's right around the season. I've got to get excited. I've got to believe that Word Salad Steichen and Bottle It Ballard have seen something that we haven't seen in 2022. Daniel Jones, which was a mediocre year at best, is apparently the answer to this. No, do you know what? It's about time I believed in someone on this team who I haven't believed in for a long time, and I believe he's put it behind him now. So I'm going the Colts MVP this year, Zaire Franklin.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
He's got a point to prove this year, and
Agreed.
if he doesn't prove that point, he's probably out of the league. I mean, somebody might take a hit on a Pro Bowler, but it's not really a Pro Bowler if the defense is the second worst defense in the league. Let's be completely honest about that. But I thought I need to start afresh. I liked Zaire before last season. Really liked him. I think he can be that. And Anthony Walker, I believe we've now signed. So he's got a sparring partner back, and it's about time we've seen some decent fucking defense. When was the last time we was good on defense? 2019?
I have a follow-up point because I think that Zaire did something off the field to influence you here, which was completely snub the announcement of Daniel Jones being captain. Is that what's made you fall in love with him again? Because he's just one of us.
Before we get into the main meat of the episode, that video, are we 12 years old? What are we doing? Like, Quentin Nelson looked embarrassed. Zaire Franklin, like you said, when it was Daniel Jones, so was he really elected? No, I doubt it, because everyone was behind Anthony Richardson. And it's just like, it's like how you try and G up your 12-year-olds when you teaching under 12 soccer. Like, I don't get it, but I don't know. Go on, Ed.
I think it falls into that category again of our social media team. You look at it, somebody obviously reviews it and gone, oh yeah, I think it's a good idea to post that. Not thinking part. A bit like, do you remember the schedule release video? Like, it's like somebody's obviously reviewed this and then we've posted it anyway. It's like, I don't know who we've got in our social media team. And the other thing, just whilst we're on this, because this has been pissing me off for a while now, is why is everything in lowercase? I'm sorry, like I'm not like a grammar nerd, but it just rattles me. Like, it really does. I'm sorry, just grow up. That's all I've got to say on it. Grow up.
It does look really stupid. It was like interesting for about 2 tweets. I mean, they're doing it across the whole of social media. It's like, oh, we're posting in lowercase. It's like, as you say, Ed, like, read the room. Like, this team is a tragedy right now. Like, get social media right, if anything else.
But yeah, that video was bad. And like you say, Big Q sat on his own, looked like he wanted to be absolutely anywhere else in the world. And Shane Steichen once again proving he's about as motivational as wet paint. I mean, jeez, worries me.
We'll get on to some more questions about the Colts and the front office later on. But let's get into the episode. But before we do, to everyone joining, thank you for joining Southbound. It means a lot. We're slowly growing our community. It's awesome if you could help us by just sharing, reviewing, commenting, all the usual stuff. I mean, I feel like a beg asking, but the Colts are absolutely dire straits. So I need someone to love. So don't give me the Colts. Give me someone who wants to be here. Tonight's episode is a roundtable with Ed and Nathan. I've prepared some questions around the league zeitgeist and what's going on, and some topics I find interesting myself. I've also had help from my wife to prepare these questions, so we'll get into it. And it's just going to be you guys answer once I've asked. Whoever goes first, we don't need to spend all day on these, otherwise honestly we could be debating these forever. So the first question The first question is, should the NFL have a second or a summer league? Equivalent examples would be the Premier League 2, which is more for younger developing kids, and also the G League. I believe, I'm not a fan of baseball, but I believe that MLB have AAA or minor league equivalents. Who would like to go first?
Yeah, I don't mind. I think it should, and I think it's there in front of us, and that's the XFL. I really do believe that the XFL would become a more interesting product if it was filled with, young stars that have maybe, not been drafted, so to speak. The kind of 250 odd who get drafted, obviously enter the league, brilliant, and then kind of the best of the rest, and that in itself sounds disrespectful, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I think if that's what the XFL became almost like an academy system for kids at a college who don't make or don't get their name called in the draft. I really do think the XFL would grow existentially if that was something that it did.
Yes, I agree, and not wanting to kind of turn this into me and Nathan just agreeing with each other all night, because that might get a little bit bit tedious. But I agree with a caveat that yes, and to Nathan's point with the XFL, I would like to see it expanded to with the European Football League, moved over to Europe, played outside of the NFL, but with, like Nathan said, players that maybe haven't quite made the draft, maybe free agents who haven't been able to sign with a team to showcase their ability, and play it in Europe, because I think that there would be a marketplace for that. I just think to get it off the ground would cost so much money that I don't see it as being feasible. And by money, I mean these guys put their bodies on the line. Every time they step on the pitch, all sportsmen do to a certain extent, but this is a very violent sport. I think for them to want to do this, they're going to need to be compensated well, quite rightly, and that's going to take a lot of money. So yes, I think it's a good idea, but it would cost a lot, and I'd like to see it in Europe if it happened. That would be my answer.
Yeah, I think it's quite relevant to our team, right? Because it would have sort of been the perfect place for Richardson right now. I'm going to add a 1.8 to this question then. Would you partner an XFL team with an NFL team, and that was their system, a bit like Formula One? You have Red Bull and AlphaTauri and Mercedes and McLaren. I'm not sure, but you sort of have your feeder teams in F4 all the way up to F2, and then you still have the younger teams like your AlphaTauris to Red Bull.
I think a good example of that, mate, is what professional ice hockey does. So NHL teams have an affiliate, lower league team. Yeah. So even top young prospects who get drafted, top 5-10 picks may get sent to the affiliate league for a year or two, because they could be 18, they could still need to grow a little bit, put some muscle on or whatever. Very similar to your baseball tag too. And I think Richardson is like the perfect example of it. He comes out of college, he's raw, he's untested. And yes, I mean, I was one of them. I wanted him to suit up in a coach uniform immediately and get on the field. But I think that's because we have no other option. You can imagine Ballard's press conference after we drafted him saying, yes, this is really exciting. And, we've kind of got our quarterback of the future, but he's going to play a year or two in the affiliate league first.
Yeah.
Would we be where we are today? That's the $1 million question.
So almost like a direct loan system, like you have in football, where a young player will go out on loan, because there is only so much reps you can get on a training
Yeah.
field. Nothing beats a real life scenario. I say that to my son all the time, who plays round ball football. I don't let him play American football. He plays but I say to you can train and we can play in the garden till you're blue in the face, mate, but stepping on the football pitch is where you'll learn how to play the game, because nothing beats that situational, what do I do in this situation? The weather's crap. I mean, we're in third and long. We're down by a touchdown. There's 2 minutes left. You can't replicate that. You cannot replicate that pressure. So yeah, I think that's a good shout, Nathan. I like that.
Yeah,
but it'll come down to money.
Yeah. As we found out with Red Zone. So sticking to the same sort of theme then. So my second question to you guys is, maybe this ties in with how we segued this, but we can discuss it further. Should college players, and I've phrased it purposely this way, have to complete a minimum amount of years in a football program before declaring? Now, currently, as we know, again, perfect example, you can essentially declare for the draft after your first year. But should there be, I was going to put age, but you can't put an age limit on talent. You really can't. It's not fair. So should there be, maybe they have to complete like their university course before they are allowed to declare? Should they have to do a minimum, if they don't do a major, should they have to do like a 2-year in a football program? That sort of thing. It sort of leads on from the next question.
I'll go first for this one. In fact, so I in the best case scenario, and speaking as a parent, I would say 1000% get your education, because nothing is guaranteed in life except your education. Like if you've got a free ticket for education, stay and get it, because anything can happen, especially playing sports, especially a violent sport like this. However, what I would say, and I know we're going to talk about this later, so I don't want to give anything away about the player power point. I don't, I know we're going to come on to that later. The inverse to that is, who then holds the power? Because then if we're telling players they have to complete certain things, we can't then be mad at them when they demand certain things in return. So I think the best practice, yeah, absolutely. Why would you not? I mean, we've seen the outpouring Arch Manning's got after one weekend of college football, saying, he can't, he's not ready for the NFL, he's not good enough, blah blah. One game, in college football. Why would you then want to declare to come into the NFL after only a year of that? Surely you'd want to stay in that environment for as long as possible, get as many reps as you can. If you look at the quarterbacks that have entered the league recently, the ones that have had the most success, who maybe weren't as heralded, like I'm not talking about the big names, but players like Bo Nix, for example, who comes out of college and wasn't really expected to, people weren't talking about him as a major name, but look at how well he's adapted to the NFL and look how long he stayed in college for. So there is a correlation there. But to your question, I don't think players should have to do it, because I think that could be restrictive of their trade. But I would say, as a parent, as an advisor, as a coach, I would always encourage them to stay for as long as they possibly can, especially now that they're not financially being penalised for staying in college.
Yeah.
Weirdly, like players like Bo Nix are included in my answer, and I think this is going to be quite a long answer. I'll try to make it long. I think you've got to look at individual circumstances. I'd like to say yes to your question, right? I'd love to say yes, you should have 2 years of playing under your belt, regardless of what year of your education you're in, to declare for the draft, right? And there's kind of 3 names I want to drop in here. So we've got Bo Nix, who I think played like 12 years in college, right? No, that's obviously a joke. He had like, he's been in the college system for like 5 years. The guy came into the league with like 10,000 reps, right? Obviously, I'm trying to put a bit of a fun spin on this.
Yeah.
And as Ed rightly said, enters the draft with not a lot of hype at all. Kind of Mr. Cool, Mr. Boring. He was kind of described as in that QB draft, right? Then you take someone like Joe Burrow, for example, who had to sit in 2 systems for, I believe, 2 seasons, possibly 3, before he even got on the field with LSU, and then takes them to national championship. Has arguably, the best college offense in the last 30 years, and becomes, a Cincinnati Bengal. Coming away from the Colts for a moment, I'd like to use DJ Lagway as an example, the young quarterback of the Florida Gators right now. Like, him declaring for the draft this year would be a theoretical nightmare. I would say, imagine he declared last year, I should say. I've kind of phrased that wrong. He enters Florida with a lot of, he's a huge prospect. Like, just watch the Netflix show if you want to find out a little bit more about DJ Lagway. Plays one season with the Gators and then somehow declares for the league. That would be a theoretical nightmare. So I think, yes, there should be a minimum, but there's the counter argument is that sometimes players have got to wait for their opportunity and they absolutely take it, and they should be able to get rewarded for that.
Yeah, I suppose it comes from I'm scarred because I'm a Colts fan, and
that's fair.
Who, let's be real, college football might start getting very murky with the NIL money, because whoever advised Anthony Richardson to turn pro after 9 games should be arrested. Because his life's not ruined, right? He's made the NFL, which the 0.1% do, and he started games, and he will start games somewhere else. I'm convinced of that. Because he's not even in the bottom 5 quarterbacks for me. It's quite simple. So his life's not ruined, but just did nobody sit down and go, this is not a good idea? Or did the agent go, I see my signing bonus coming? But that's a different question. The question is about players. I think personally there should be something tied to GPA and modules before you're allowed to declare. I'm guessing there is something in place, but Rob Gronkowski's been in the league. Do you know what I mean? It can't be that serious, but we could, like I say, we could do a full probably 2-hour episode on college scholarships, money, pressure, time, etc. But that's not what this show is for tonight. But I think it has to be tightened up with the new NIL money coming in, or it has to be rewritten, because a bit like PSR in soccer football, it's just outdated and made for a game ages ago. Okay, question 3. And I think this is quite a quick fire one, to be honest, and I think it's quite simple. Should each team be given an extra bye week? I'll start yes. As simple as that.
Yes, I do, especially when we get an extra game in a year or two, because that's the way the league's going. I 1,000,000% think we should get an extra bye week as well. Player safety and player rehabilitation, just really important parts of sport.
Ed?
Yeah, agree. I haven't got anything to add other than to what Nathan said. I think when it goes to an 18-game season, which is inevitably coming in the next 2 years, I think an extra bye week will be part of that package. And I think that makes perfect sense for both players and the league. So, yeah, I do, 100%.
Would it be better if it was like they're never going to do this, but because obviously it's too much money and it's too tied in, but the Bundesliga have a winter break over Christmas, I think 2 weeks. They're not going to do that, but would a 2-week block for everyone be better than spread out random bye weeks? Could you ever see that, or is it just too much money?
I don't know if it's the money. I think that might. I don't know if that would be part. That's an interesting point. I don't know if some teams would like that. Some teams might not like to disrupt their rhythm too much. I suppose that would be very much a team discussion, but it's definitely a one to bring to the table, I would say.
And I think bye weeks are part of the chess game of that we love, right? Because they become strategic things. When you've got a player who's carrying an injury, pushing through the pain, and then you've got a bye week at week 13, and your final 3 are theoretically easier scheduled games. That is a strategic dream because your star player gets to have a week off and gets access to probably the best medical care in America. But in that same scenario, getting your bye week in week 5, you're kind of not going to be dancing about that, right? So I actually like that idea though, Harrison. I think it'd be really cool if they kept the same bye system, but the bye period became 2 weeks off. I think that'd be really cool. Really like interesting scheduling problem for the NFL computer as well.
And I think if you make it a 2-week block, it all of a sudden makes your season longer. There's more exposure. There's a bit more period for everyone to enjoy football. Goodell can't turn his nose up at that. So that was that. Like I say, that was quick fire. Just again, everyone watching, feel free to answer the questions along and let us know what you think. If you're listening, feel free to tell your work colleagues what you think, even though they'll think you're mad and you're talking to yourself because you got your AirPods in, like I do. So I'm going to throw in a Colts question then, because we're about a third of the way through. Will the first sacking at the Indianapolis Colts this year will not be one of the front 3? It will be someone who works underneath them. I mean, like, it's going to be an assistant coach or a positional coach before it's Shane Steichen or Ballard.
I mean, I could see it being Jim Bob Cooter, our offensive coordinator. I mean, obviously it's kind of he kind of plays a shadowed role, doesn't he? Because Shane's the play caller, so we don't kind of associate success with Jim. We kind of Jim Bob, I should say, not to kind of be confused with our old owner, rest in peace, Mr. Ursay. But we kind of don't see Jim Bob get that success. We see Shane get it. So I would definitely bet on that. Or if Richardson gets traded, Cam Turner's off. Colts quarterback coach. He needs to be driven out of town.
Ed, who's Shane Steichen going to throw under the bus first?
Do you know what? Those that Nathan said, the first 2 names that came into my head, Jim Bob Cooter doesn't, Shane calls the plays and Cam's got to take if Shane's not taking accountability for Richardson, you sure as know he's going to throw somebody else under a bus. I actually think if there is a firing, I know that wasn't the question, I think it's just Shane. I think he goes, and I think a few of those go with him, and they'll put Lou in charge for the rest of the season. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, it would have to be offensive coordinator or quarterback coach, because that's where the problem. That's where we've just hired a new defensive coordinator. They're not going to make any changes there. Yeah.
Okay,
I think it'll be Shane.
One word answer then. Before or after Thanksgiving?
What? That one of them gets the bullet?
That someone's getting sacked before or
before?
I'm going to say after, because I genuinely believe that Taylor will have this team on his shoulders this season, and Taylor's good enough to win football games. So I will say after.
Yeah, I see it. I think before. We could be off to a horrid. I can genuinely see us getting off to a horrid start, and why not? 1-5 start. Go and get Frank Reich in. On to the next question then, gents. Back to league-wide questions. And we can expand on this. So, do division champions always deserve a playoff spot? I think that's very relevant because our division is absolute arse at best of times. So,
and that's why I'm going to say yes. And hear me, and not just because I think that's our best chance into the playoffs. Well, it is, yeah, there is that, but also because because the NFL is so cyclical and possibly more cyclical than we're used to in European sports, because of the way that it's balanced, a bad division can become a good division over a relatively short period of time. So whilst you may benefit over a short period because the division strength isn't where it is, in theory that shouldn't last too long. I mean, if you look at the AFC South as an example, yes, people, and you rightly say our division is ours. It's not the strongest, I agree. But if you look at the players that are coming into our division sort of over the last few years, you know, CJ Stroud, Cam Ward was another number one pick this year. Richardson, obviously, we took. So you've taken some high-end quarterbacks. Travis Hunter, potential league superstar. Tyler Warren, potential league superstar. Eventually, the tide will turn. The division will get stronger. So I think winning your division should always guarantee you a path into the playoffs, because you can't control the strength of your division in the same way that a team that's in a really strong division maybe misses out because of the strength of their division. It's just one of them things, isn't it? Just bad luck. I know that might not be everyone's answer, but I think, yeah, winning your division should get you in there, definitely.
Yes, I agree. And in short, I'm gonna keep this very, very simple. The AFC North exists. That's the best division in football. In my opinion, and I think to imagine winning that division and not getting a shot in the playoffs, it would just be a kind of sporting tragedy. And to Ed's point, you can't control the strength of your division, and I think that the media pick up on that as well. Kind of go back to last year, the media were praying that Indy didn't sneak in because they wanted the Bengals to be there. We were getting written off before we'd even walked on the field, and our ball was snapped. So, yeah, in short, yes, because the AFC North exists and is a good example of that.
That's fair. I mean, to try and play devil's advocate a little bit, because I think it's always good to look at things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but college football is different. It goes off who you play, your strength of schedule, how good you are, like it's ranking. But from what I've learned so far, that kicks up a lot of fuss. So could there ever? I mean, it's not going to be, right, because we don't like change at the best of times, especially when it comes to our sporting events. We just don't like it. But what are the pros? I guess the better way of putting it then, what are the pros of the college football bracket system compared to the NFL playoffs? If anyone wants to answer that, I'm just free balling.
I think with that, I think there's an element of subjectivity. That's the issue, isn't it? Because you won't ever get a universal agreement. So, and the idea, the cynical part of me, in the way that I always think Sky Sports always want to put on the best teams in this country, is that it's geared towards getting the matchups that people maybe want to see. So, if we use college football as an example, people want to see the big schools playing each other. You don't necessarily want to see the underdog story as much because they don't want to see sort of massive blowouts, as it were. I think with the NFL system, and the other thing about division winners is there's no subjectivity there, is it? You're there on merit. To Nathan's point, if you win a grueling division like the NFC or AFC North, no one can argue that you don't deserve your place. And it's the same rules for everybody. You can't then have any accusations of bias or, like Nathan said about the Colts, we want the Bengals in because they've got Joe Burrow. They're going to get more eyes on TV. More eyes on TV means we can sell more commercial space, simply put. And there's no element of that coming into it because objectively, you won your division, you didn't, so you're in, you're not. Boof, end of conversation.
Yeah, I like it. Like I say, it's just I agree. I do think they do, but I think that's an interesting spin, a way to look at things. next question then. And I think this is this is something I've thought about for a long time. I've got to be honest here. I've tried thinking of a way. But the next question is, to avoid tanking, should the NFL rethink the draft process, i.e. a percentage chance like the NBA, or have you guys got any wild ideas that would completely revamp to stop teams tanking?
I thought a lot about this one, and I think the NBA draft lottery has become a commercial event, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely, you can almost see Roger Goodell's eyes, that kind of like those old Simpson episodes with the dollar signs jumping out of his eyeballs. Unfortunately, I do think it's going that way. Do I think that's good for the game? No, I don't. One of my heartfelt favorite things about this sport, especially when I'm explaining it to new fans, is that picking a quote unquote bad team is not signing yourself up to years of sadness, unless you're maybe a Browns fan or a Jets fan or a Colts fan of recent times. But it's such a wonderful part of the sport, and seeing the top talents go to places that need it is a really cool aspect. But unfortunately, I think that tanking is a part of this game, and we would not have got Andrew Luck if we didn't do it.
Oh yeah, we're not innocent. We wouldn't have got Peyton Manning if we didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't have got Anthony Richardson if we didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Jeff Saturday. We could have had CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I agree with Nathan. I don't want to go over the kind of points that he's already made, but I like that. It's difficult because I don't think nobody admits that they're tanking, do they? Nobody says like we're going out there to lose on purpose. There isn't, and there was that wonderful sort of moment last year when the Giants came and hung about 100 points on us at the end of the season, and their fans were pissed because it actually ruined their chances sort of going into the draft a little bit. And it's that kind of, to Nathan's point, trying to explain that to people who are new to the sport, like, actually this team have had their best win of the season, but they're a little bit annoyed because it could affect how they then they draft. And again, just picking up on a point you made earlier, Nathan, about the bye weeks, I think the draft and where you draft and thinking about draft order is all part of the chess game. It's all part of the mind games, isn't it? Of being a general manager and understanding where you're going to be, and strategically, you're almost sort of having to play 4D chess, aren't you? Like, I'm not tanking, but we are tanking. Like, we're going to put this guy in at quarterback. We're looking at you, New Orleans Saints, for Spencer Rattler, because it's not the worst thing in the world if we don't win this year. But, we're going to give you a chance and dress it up that we want you to do well. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of mentality. And yeah, so again, my previous point, I like the kind of black and whiteness of it. You finish here, this is where you draft. There's no subjectivity. There's no chance. The last thing we want to see is the team like the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl and then drafting number one. You don't want to be seeing that, because then we're ending up with a Premier League situation. The rich get richer. I don't want to see that. I like the level playing field that the NFL offers.
Yeah, what was it? Agree. The Dallas Mavericks had a 0.2% at the overall.
Exactly.
Somehow got it.
Exactly. And again, where all the controversy, I mean, I don't follow the NBA, but even my timeline was flooded with sort of conspiracy theories about, and you don't need that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know it's a conversation point, but that's not the conversation you want.
So I've thought about this two ways. One maybe a bit more realistic than the other. So the first way, when I first thought about this, was, and I get, right, getting players to sign up to this is just going to be a no-go. So this is a non-starter. But if you had the number one overall and the number two overall play in a Super Bowl-like match, and the winner keeps both picks, or like I say, I don't think you're not going to get a quarterback who's been shit all year to sign up to that, because he's going to lose his job. Or another way of doing this is from the bottom up, where you had an extra round into the draft. Whichever side wins the Pro Bowl wins their team an extra pick in that round. Because that would then add something to the Pro Bowl, because let's be real, the Pro Bowl's fucking arse. It's shit. I'd rather not have it. Honestly, a week without it, at least my players are not going to get injured. And I just think they've got to be struggling to get bums on seats for the Pro Bowl, because I don't get the appeal of watching it. I really don't. So that added jeopardy of you could get your team an extra pick, and all of a sudden then you're negotiating a new contract because you just won your team an extra pick by winning the Pro Bowl. But again, getting players to sign up to that is a different thing.
Yep. Good point.
But yeah, fun ways. Roger Goodell, Southbound, we do charge a consultancy fee, but feel free to entertain us at any point. Thank you to everyone for watching so far. This is good. God, where was we up to? Okay, so I'll throw in one more Colts one then, because the next one is more NFC. But the Colts one is Riley Leonard ends this year out as Colts QB1.
Go on, you Ed. I'll go after you.
No, go on, Nathan. I think we're both going similar here. Go on, I'll let you go first.
So I
Not that I want that to happen, but
I genuinely think we see Riley Leonard this year. I really do. Again, I really don't want to be so hopeless all the time on this show, because it's a show to the internet. If it goes badly with Jones, they're going to chuck in Anthony, and they're going to put all the pressure of saving the season on his back, right? And let's say he gets injured. Carly's got an opportunity to go, let's get rid of Jones. Anthony's gone. Let's put Riley in. Let's lose games, put bums on seats because everybody wants to watch the Notre Dame rookie. And then get a worse draft. It goes back to your last question. We get a better draft pick. It's a more sellable job to a new GM and a new head coach. I generally think we see Leonard take meaningful snaps this year. If he's QB1, how much more can I give this team?
Yeah, and to that point, Nathan, I think the only way we see Riley Leonard as QB1 is if Jeff Saturday's back as head coach, and it's all gone horribly wrong. I think that is literally to my last point about the New Orleans Saints. We're not tanking, but we are tanking. Just chuck Riley Leonard in to give him some reps, and let's just see what happens. But yeah, if he's QB1, it's gone horribly wrong. That's all I'd say. Even more wrong than we're fearing it might be as it is.
Yeah.
Poor Riley Leonard. What's he done?
We like Riley Leonard. It's not on Riley Leonard. That's more of an indictment of how bad the team would be.
Okay, so the next one then, I'm not sure if you boys live under a rock or not, but Jerry Jones continues to provide himself as the worst owner in football in history, and the fact he just doesn't care for Dallas is quite funny, because it's not our team for once. But yeah, the Micah Parsons trade. I mean, first of all, you can give your quick thoughts on what you thought of the trade, because why didn't we bother picking up the phone? But second of all, what is the ripple effect on the NFC? Because obviously he stayed in the conference regarding the Parsons trade.
Yeah, I'll go first. I've got 2 quick points, and then I'll say about it. One is, did you see the news today that the Philadelphia Eagles had apparently inquired? Now that would have been unbelievable if he'd have gone there. Because you might as well give them the damn trophy now. But apparently they wouldn't trade into division. And second of all, I think looking back at the trade, 2 firsts and I can't remember his name. That's gone out of my head. Kenny Clark? Is it Clark? No, the player that they traded back.
Ed, exactly. You can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
so, but my point is, sorry, the 2 firsts, I don't think there's a damn team in the NFL that wouldn't have done that trade for Micah Parsons. I cannot believe the deal that Green Bay got. It's absolutely unbelievable. The ripple effects around the NFC, simply put, it jumps Green Bay up the list, in my opinion, for NFC champions and going to the Super Bowl. I probably had a few teams ahead of them, sort of the Rams, Tampa Bay. They were sort of the teams that I had on the bubble. I seriously think Green Bay are going to be a problem in the NFC. I don't want to go so far as say they're definitely gonna win the NFC championship. I'm not going that far. I still think Detroit and Philadelphia are probably just ahead of them, but I think Green Bay are hot on their heels now. And spare a thought for the Chicago Bears fans, who are apparently in absolute meltdown over this trade. But yeah, I think the ripple effect is that Green Bay solidify themselves as a top 3 team in the NFC with that one trade.
Yeah, simply put, the trade was absolutely blockbuster, wasn't it? It was so cool that it kind of broke whilst we were recording as well.
Yeah.
Just such a kind of memorable moment in our short tenure together as well. But yeah, blockbuster trade. Huge for the division too, in my opinion. When you look at that division, I mean, when Ed and I took us round a kind of tour of the NFC, we spent a lot of time in that division, kind of debating, who's going to win it. I think even betting markets are fully believing in Green Bay now. It's massive for the NFC. Huge for that division.
So just like you say, it's massive, and I wouldn't like to be Jerry Jones. Put it that way. I would not like to be in his shoes.
I don't think he's that fussed, to be honest with you.
He doesn't care, mate. He doesn't care. Let's be real.
He's got the most valuable franchise in all of sports. Like, not just in America, it's the most valuable sporting franchise in the world. Like, that is massive when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's funny as well? He was on record, wasn't he, saying he doesn't want to pay players early anymore, and referenced Trayvon Diggs and another player. Kind of threw two of their players, two of their current players under the bus. What did he do 2 days after the Micah Parsons trade? He paid their cornerback too. $100 million over 4 years early. Like, what's going on? That corner room is worth like 200 million. It's insanity to me. Insanity. But I have to get that in.
Yeah.
Crazy,
good point.
Crazy talk. It makes Chris Harris Jr. and Darrelle Revis in Denver those years ago, that was a $200 million cornerback room, not what Dallas are prancing out every week. Sorry to rant, but shout out to the greats. Darrelle Revis, one of the best players this league's ever seen, and that's the money that you should have got. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, moving on. Question number 7. We're getting there. And this, I think, is quite relevant because we all enjoy most of the quarterbacks in our conference, apart from when they play against us. But who is the best quarterback in the AFC? Obviously, I've gone with the AFC because, for me, the stronger quarterbacks lie in the AFC. You could, if you want to do top 3 or something and rank them, it's up to you guys. But the best for me, and it's quite simple, is Riley Leonard. But I was gonna say Sammy Erlinger, but I think he's gone to Seattle.
No, he's with Denver, so he's still in the AFC.
Yeah, there we go, Sammy Erlinger. I'll let you go on.
Go on, Nath. You
Who's
go
going
first this time, mate.
Me?
You go first, Nath. Go on.
Like, you asked me till about a week ago. I've always been a Lamar Jackson stan. Since he was drafted, he just looks the real deal. But obviously, he's had the question marks on can he do it in the playoffs. He changed that narrative last year. Didn't obviously make it the whole way. Something in me, maybe because I got him in a fantasy league for the first time ever, is telling me Joe Burrow this year. They got the band back together. I think that offense is going to be absolutely electric this year. So my heart is saying Lamar. My head is saying Burrow. And I mean, if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl again, it's hard to argue it's not Mahomes. So, yeah, Ed.
Similar dilemma because we're both, I think, president and vice president of the Lamar Jackson fan club. I think the guy is absolutely electric and probably someone I just love watching. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But for me, the best quarterback in the AFC it's Patrick Mahomes. It has to be Patrick Mahomes. I hear your argument about Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is amazing, but Patrick Mahomes does what the others can't do. He wins. And that is the overriding quality that I would want in my quarterback. He's unbelievable. I mean, magic. Some of the plays he comes out with. I know he had a bit of a down year last year, but he's still got the Kansas City Chiefs to another Super Bowl with a 15-2 record. If we talk about quarterback being the most important position in sports, and the Colts don't have one, and therefore we haven't really got much chance going into this year, the inverse is true. The most successful team in the NFL since Mahomes joined the league has been the Kansas City Chiefs, and that is because of Patrick Mahomes. So until Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson start getting those rings, it will be Patrick Mahomes's league. So that's for me who the best is.
And weirdly, the same quote that Manchester City have against Tottenham Hotspur, he can't beat the Indianapolis Colts, apparently. So I think he's lost. Did he lose to Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan? Is that right?
Yeah. Definitely lost to Matt Ryan. It was very early in the season. Yeah.
Was that the year we went 3-4 or whatever it was? I can't remember what the final record was. It was that year, wasn't it? Yeah. Brilliant.
So for that reason, he can't be the greatest quarterback in the AFC. If you can't beat Matt Ryan's Colts, then I'm sorry. No, I mean, like this, it's going to come down to what you like in a quarterback. And for me, what I like in the quarterback is probably the closest thing you can get to Andrew Luck, and that's Josh Allen. I'm not going to argue with you two. I think we just named the best quarterbacks in the AFC. We should have just said, let's name the best quarterbacks in the AFC, and we just have. But I think I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Bills and how they've built that team and how they've been patient and developed their quarterback who they picked, who had bad accuracy, and they've not just dumped him for the second worst accurate quarterback in the league. But I'm not sour about that still. I'm excited for the season. Woohoo! So the next couple of questions, my wife helped me. She asked these to me about the NFL. The first one: should the seating be tribal? Tribal as in segregated, like in soccer, or do you think the community sitting, let's say, works better?
Man, I'm in two minds about this. Obviously, having been to both NFL and football, plenty of football games here in the UK, I like the tribal segregated seating because I think it generates a better atmosphere. If I'm being totally honest with you, I like that. Given and sort of I like that kind of banter that the crowds have between themselves. But it is a very English thing or a very European thing, isn't it, to have that? I do find it strange that they don't have segregated seating, and you do see on social media sort of clips of fans sort of fighting in the stands, which I don't want to see that. Especially, I take my son to a lot of these things, and I don't want to be there and see two drunken blokes throwing hands over football. So yeah, I think I've talked myself into it. Yes, I think they should. Yes, I'll leave it there. They should, for safety and for atmosphere.
I agree. I've seen a definite rise in kind of those horrible, like violent videos. In the NFL, the last 2 seasons, like some of the fights are awful to watch because the level of alcohol that's involved in them too. Like people are like, oh, it's rough to watch sometimes. But I've got to be honest. One of my favorite things about when I went to Boston to Gillette Stadium to watch Indianapolis versus New England was the banter I was having with New England fans around me. It was a really like kind of welcoming atmosphere. The banter was very like almost friendly because we got stuffed. But yeah, it was a very unique experience because I've been to some away games with Newcastle United, and you kind of the toxicity and the kind of atmosphere feels on top of you at times. So I think it'd be really interesting to maybe get like some American viewers on to ask them what they feel about that.
Great point.
But I would probably say for now that don't fix it if it's broke.
Yeah. So I've got 2 points to this because it's been 57 minutes and I've not managed to shoehorn them in yet.
Here we go.
Last year, I was lucky enough to watch the North London derby at the Emirates Stadium, and
Nice.
going 1-0 down was awful. But then when Leandro Trossard dropped Pedro Porro on his arse with a beautiful Cruyff turn, and then he scores, and just seeing that live and being able to give everything to then walk down the road in the terrace below was amazing. It's fantastic. One of the best experiences in my life. So I would be for it because I'm with you, Ed. I think it generates a better atmosphere. Not that we don't have our problems with fan behaviour and segregation. It's the if you put a fence between dogs argument.
Yeah.
Also, the sort of second and maybe wider point is it. I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. Is it capitalism versus fan experience in the sense that for me, the seating together model is a touristy, more attraction, more day out model compared to how, like we say, tribal and like protective and really quite like childlike European football fans get about their traditions and sitting together.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would say having, again, without trying to I've taken my boy to the American football and he goes to English football here in the UK. My wife worries a lot less when I take him to the American football. I'll just say that. I think there is that, like Nathan said, that whilst alcohol and sporting events can cause not brilliant reactions, and obviously that's the other thing. Don't forget, with segregated seating in football here in the UK, you can't drink in your seat, whereas you can drink in your seats in the American football. So that that's a big difference. Is they're kind of maybe less treated like children. Like we trust you to sit there and have a beer and not throw it over somebody. Whereas in European football, you can't even take a bottle lid through. So yeah, I don't know. I think Nathan's made a great shout. Maybe we should get some American guests on and ask their take on it and what they think.
Yeah. A couple left now. So the next one, player power versus contracts. obviously relevant to Nathan at the minute, and even me with Groycresh skipping out of training. I can't be fickle and say I didn't. I suppose we see, even if you want to go to Jonathan Taylor and the Colts last year, we could talk about that all day as well. So I think Joe Hart, who is now a pundit but a very successful goalkeeper in soccer over here, spoke about this very well, saying that if it's okay for a club to force a player out, why is it not okay for a player to force his way out of the club?
Yeah, and I think trying to keep it kind of on brand, like, it felt like at the time Taylor was not only doing it for himself, he was trying to do it for the running back market, right? Or at least lots of his, colleagues in the league were willing him on to do it.
Yeah.
And no doubt he did have an influence in kind of resetting that market. What I don't think is okay is the way that it was done. Taylor was obviously approaching the end of his deal. Yeah. Obviously, I think the reason why it's relevant to me is in soccer, one of the world's star strikers in Alexander Isak has just forced his way to a British transfer record move to Liverpool Football Club. He did that 3 years into a 6-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even hand a transfer request in. The way that he conducted himself was just not acceptable. And I think we need to be really realistic too. With soccer, I feel like it's a working man's game. I'm trying to be classist there, but I really do. It's a working man's game. It's a working man's dream. If we turned up to work tomorrow and said, "Oh, I'm not playing because I want to move to company B," we'd be having a formal warning or something, or kind of sacked and told, go work in company 100. There's the job center type of thing. Yeah. I feel like I could talk about this for hours because of how passionate I feel about this situation. But I think the quicker the sport gets rid of agent bonuses, the quicker we see this problem go away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of short answer I'll give to that question. Ed?
Yeah, I've thought about this long and hard because, I think it's a really difficult, nuanced situation because first and foremost, if we talk about the NFL, no one begrudges the players getting paid the money they get paid. They're the ones that are going out there putting their bodies on the line. They absolutely should maximise their earning potential. And ultimately, my argument is whatever the sport, with the amount of money in professional sports, I would rather see that money going to the players than I'd see it going to agents, executives, and all that kind of stuff. I want to see the players getting paid because they're the ones that we're paying to watch. I think your point, Harrison, your question is really interesting because I think the dynamic's slightly different. I think in the NFL, generally, the power tends to be with the players to the extent that they want to get paid, and they will hold out, as we know, and not play or not train. But it's never really to try and force a move per se. It's not like they're saying, you've blocked me going to the Cleveland Browns. No, I don't know why anybody would go on strike to want to go there, but it's not like saying, I want to go there and I'm going to, a bit like the Alexander Isak situation where I'm just going to down tools because I want to get my big move to Liverpool. You're already being paid a lot of money to live out everybody's dreams, you greedy prick, and you've gone to that bunch of wankers as well. Sorry, I had to get that in there. Can't fucking stand Liverpool. Whereas in the NFL, I think it's slightly different. I think it's just a case of I'm holding out to get paid. It's not a case of I'm holding out because you're blocking me from going somewhere else. So I think the dynamic's slightly different. And if we just go back conversation to the Michael Parsons trade, ultimately he ended up getting traded because he wanted to get paid. But he took on the big boss. He basically called out his biggest boss in front of the national media, and he ended up leaving the team. Whether that's what he wanted or not, I don't know. I mean, we're never going to know the ins and outs of it. But I think there is player power, but I do think it's where the leverage is and who holds all of the cards. So, if a player's got years left on his contract, the power's with the team. If a player's coming to the end of the contract, well really that power maybe moves to the player a little bit more. But I just think that dynamic's slightly different, and I do think that players are entitled to fight for the best deals they can, but they shouldn't ever act in the way that Alexander Isak did, the prick.
Yeah, and this is not a new thing, right? Because I mean, Eli Manning did the same thing, and he got handsomely rewarded for it.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to think of it, but I suppose it comes more in line with how college is now essentially semi-professional. You get paid. We could really be on the start of, I'm not declaring this year. I don't like your team. Because if you're, again, just using the example because we all know the example, Arch Manning has every right to go, I can earn another 30 million in college this year and I don't have to go to the Saints. Not the Saints, sorry. I don't have to go to Las Vegas Raiders or even the Saints. Yeah, they're both terrible. I can wait another year for when I don't know, New York, a big market team, Dallas, when Dallas are looking for a star quarterback and get paid even more. So I think we're on a balancing knife. What's on top of a massively inflated balloon at the minute, and something's got to pop. But yeah, I think we're in an interesting era of money in football. So the last league question I got before I finish with the Colts, and we can quickly, because we've been going a long time now, I realise, but we can quickly then talk about our college QBs and how they got on in their first games. But the last question, I think, honestly, it's quite simple for me. Is the Super Bowl too far removed from normal fans? And I think yes. I think it's ruined. Not the game itself, but when you're talking a house deposit to get a ticket, then I just don't buy it. Something needs to be done, but it won't be.
Yeah, I must admit I misunderstood this question, and I thought you meant like the game itself, and I was going to say, no, I think it's a great entry point for many new fans. I love bringing new people along to the Super Bowl, but yeah, the accessibility of actually watching it and that being an achievable thing completely. Corporate America has destroyed that celebration. Yeah, Ed?
No, totally agree. But it's the same as like the World Cup final, Champions League final. Any major sporting event now is less about tickets for the actual fans and more about the corporate tickets. And man on the street doesn't really get a look in. Going to the Super Bowl now is probably as likely as winning the lottery to the average Joe, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you've not got a great owner like Sir Jim Irsay, just giving away tickets to randomers because not even Colts fans. For people who don't know, he didn't even auction off. Just enter a competition and you get a ticket. Like, let's be real. There's more Jerry Joneses as owners than Jim Irsay, so we're going to be lucky if that ever happens again. So the last Colts question, and then I've got for everyone, and like I say, I appreciate we've been going a long time now. But the last Colts question I've got for everyone is who is going to be, and I don't mean MVP of the year, but who's going to be your player for the year? So who this year? Who are you going into bat for? Nathan's, it would have been Justin Wally, but you're gonna have to pick another one. I'm sorry. And I promise mine won't be. I nearly called him Sammy early. Mine won't be Riley Leonard. I promise. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I've got two here, choosing ones really hard. My first one is Tana Bortolini. Cannot wait to see him anchor the offensive line. My second one is Nick Cross. I'm so ecstatic about Nick's play last year. Feel like I was a broken record about him sometimes. So glad to see he's back healthy, and just can't wait to see him in a system that's based on secondary play, as opposed to the kind of rubbish we've seen in the past. Ed?
Do you know what? I'm going for his partner in crime, Cam Bynum. New sign him. Love the vibes that he's brought to the team. Agree with you about seeing him in Lou's system where heavy emphasis on defensive backs. I think we might see some picks, and hopefully we can see him bring some of those dance moves to Indianapolis this year. And I'm all for it because I think we need a bit of light-heartedness on our Sunday evenings.
I'll go for two quickly, both offense. I want to see one because I want to see a good year from him, and that's AD Mitchell. I really want to see something from him this year. Two, because he's a rookie, and I really want him to make running back 2 his position and really push this running back room, and that's DJ Giddens. Really appreciated what he's done so far pre-season and camp, and just, let's carry that on, and I want him to make some noise. So quickly then, college quarterbacks. We started this new segment of the show where we're following our own college quarterback. We've all chosen one. Who wants to go first and round up their quarterback?
Yeah, I'll go first.
So go on, Nathan.
Go on, you, Ed. No, I'll go after.
No, it's fine. Okay, yeah. I mean, we both then started. Go on, mate.
Sorry,
we've been going a long time.
Okay, I'll go first. I went with my quarterback is Lenoris Sellers of the South Carolina Gamecocks. They opened the year with a win. Lenoris' stat line was 12 for 19, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Come out with a 63.2% completion rate. Really liked what I saw from Lenoris. He was very, very kind of methodical. And that's what I really want to see from him this year in this system. And the head coach of South Carolina, definitely from watching the Netflix show as well, I'm not some sort of expert on them, has a kind of reputation of just playing like really rough, hard football sometimes, almost a little bit boring. And they did that to win the game. It was really, really, really cool to watch at the end. But yeah, really clean game from Lenoris. I'm already excited. It's like 48 hours time I'll be watching him again. So Ed?
So I went with Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who started with a very difficult game, a road game at Clemson, which they won. And Nussmeier played a huge part in that. I did try and stay up Saturday night. I did not make it. I think I got as far as the Clemson team coming onto the pitch, and the next thing I knew, it was the middle of the night. So I didn't get very far. So I watched it back the next day. Nussmeier's stat line, he went for 38 attempts, 28 completions, 230 yards and a touchdown. But from what I watched, it wasn't so much the stat line; it was more the way that he controlled the offense. He played he took what the defense gave him, really, really controlled his offense really well. And LSU away at Clemson, that's a big win for them. Clemson were ranked higher, and Nussmeier played a big part in it. And I was really impressed with how he controlled his offense in a very mature performance. Took the short, easy stuff. Anthony Richardson, pay attention, took it when it was there available to him. Just a very, very polished performance. And I think his stock is potentially rising already. So, yeah, like Nathan said, excited to see him again.
Excellent. And my quarterback was John Mateer, plays for the Oklahoma Sooners, who started off his season in excellent fashion, 37 attempts, 30 completions, 392 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and rushing 7 carries for 24 yards and 1 touchdown. What I will say is it's proved he's ready for the step up because they started their season versus Illinois State Redbirds, which I've not heard of them. I'm not dissing on them, but they sound like a Division 2 team. I don't quite know how it works. Still getting used to it. But this Sunday will be a bigger test, which will be Oklahoma, who are ranked 18th, versus Michigan, ranked 15th. So, and that is a midnight. So I might stay up for that. That's going to be the first sort of step up for him. So a nice warm up. He's proved why his coach has taken him to Oklahoma. Now he's got to do it on a rainy night in Stoke, essentially. Breaking news. I mean, this is soccer breaking news. But breaking news from The Athletic: Daniel Levy has been removed as Tottenham Hotspur's chairman. Unfortunately. But anyway, enough of them lot. Back to the thing that matters, because I appreciate, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very long episode. It's been an hour and 16, so I thank you for sticking with us and listening to us. But there's something I've got to do now. Boys. And let's be real, it's been a long time. The doubts are gone. It's the last Thursday before the season kicks off. The doubts are gone. The arguments are gone. Our starting quarterback, New York, writ you off. The Giants have written you off. The rest of the league has written you off. But Super Shane Steichen has seen something. Cunning Chris Ballard has seen something. The rest of the league has not seen what these guys have seen. And I trust you to lead the Indianapolis Colts to a Super Bowl. Thank you for joining us, and join us next Thursday after the Indianapolis Colts beat the Miami Dolphins 37-0. Thank you all for joining. We've been Southbound.